Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, man, the 49ers, another 5-touchdown performance for Brock Purdy, 42 points for the 49ers, and the offense is absolutely rolling right now.
I'm Eric Crocker, one half of the Locked On 49ers crew, and I'm here to talk about Christian McCaffrey and the resurgence of the run game and how beneficial it's been for the 49ers offense as a whole.
Dwayne Bowe on assignment today, so you got Eric Squared, Eric Engel, and Eric Crocker coming at you on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show, which starts right now.
To all the faithful, it's the 49ers Squad. Everything San Francisco 49ers every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from Levi's Stadium. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. For those faithful to the Bay, the 49ers Squad Show starts now.
What's up, everyone? Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Thanks to all our everydayers tuning in, and for everyone listening on the podcast feed or on the YouTube channel, however you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And tonight's show, no sponsor for tonight's show, just brought to you by the good people at Locked On. And Crocky, tonight, Brock Purdy, man, he was on fire again. Another 5-touchdown day for Brock. First player in team history with 5 total touchdowns in consecutive games. I mean, there's been a lot of, when you think of team history like that's a lot of really good players that have played on this 49ers team. And for Brock to be the first guy to do this, man, that just speaks to how well he is playing right now. Crocky, I think this is kind of a layup, so let's start here. Have you ever seen Brock Purdy play at this level in his career before? Because I certainly haven't. This guy is going bananas out there, making all sorts of crazy plays.
This is the best I've ever seen Brock Purdy play. And I touched on it a little bit when I was just recording Locked On 49ers with Brian Peacock. And I said, this is the version, this version of Brock Purdy is what a lot of fans believe he's been this whole time. No, he has taken his game to another level. And I think a lot of times people call me like a hater or, oh, you're a Brock Purdy hater. No, I think Brock Purdy, man, he's doing some good things and he do something. Okay, then you call him out when he's doing some poor things or whatever. But the level in which he is currently playing at, as high as I've ever seen before. Just his ability to make plays, that's always been there. But the way he's making throws, the way he's maneuvering the pocket, the way he's consistently doing those things, keeping the 49ers on the field. I always kind of felt a little uneasy when the 49ers were in situations where they could not use the option of a run, right? So essentially, if 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, those type of things where it's like, okay, this is an obvious passing situation. You can't run the ball. How is Brock going to play in this situation where he doesn't have the run game at his disposal? And I felt like, it was kind of 50-50. But as of late, he has turned into somebody where, I'm not saying you want him to be a drop back quarterback, but he's playing at a level to where if you had to lean on that, I think he would do well, very well at that right now. So it's awesome. It's awesome seeing just him maximize his ability and having fun out there, making guys miss out in space, throwing touchdowns to Kyle Juszczyk, and doing the Dougie, man. I love it.
We've been getting a lot of the Dougie for Brock Purdy lately, and you can keep on giving me some more of it because, he's pretty clean with the, to quote George Kittle, can a white guy get a little motion? You know what I mean? Brock Purdy out there doing his thing, man. And talking about one of the things that I want to touch on, one of the things you were just talking about there, his ability to move the pocket in this game really, I think, is what was the difference in this one. And you saw some of the same stuff from Caleb Williams too. But as Chris Collinsworth, I think, did a good job of pointing out in the broadcast, when Caleb Williams was moving the pocket, he wasn't always hitting his open receivers. Brock Purdy was. Almost any time that he broke contain and he got out, he made the right play. And in that play to Juszczyk, man, we have to kind of go back a little bit to the prior 2 touchdowns he scored just before that one to kind of understand why that was so easy. But after he runs those first 2 in, he gets the 2 rushing scores. The second one was just, it seemed like a pure option play, option read where Purdy just snuck it in, fooled the cameraman on that one too. And then the next time, 3 consecutive trips to the red zone. On that third trip, Brock Purdy scrambles left again. As you said, he puts 2 defenders in the spin cycle when they have him dead to rights right along the sideline. And Brock, after he makes both of those defenders just whiff, steps up and gets near the line of scrimmage. The underneath coverage comes up to try and stop that threat of the run, which Brock had shown you over and over in this game, that he had the ability to use his legs to get into the end zone. So you had to respect it. Leaves Juszczyk wide open in the end zone. Brock just dumps it over him. Shanahan actually said post-game that he wished when he was watching the play, he was just hoping Brock would throw the ball out of bounds. He ends up scoring a touchdown on the play. Absolutely bonkers, man. And that might be the single best play that I've seen of Brock Purdy's career, man. Like, I think that play encapsulates everything that he's been doing in recently in the best parts of his game. I mean, he is most dangerous when things start to break down. He uses the legs, the off-schedule plays, and you saw everything on display right there.
You definitely did. And he's done a little bit of that magic at different times, but right now he just looks so comfortable back there, and surprisingly comfortable in this game, because after the first play of the game, Trent Williams exited the football game and never returned. So you had Pleasant out there, and outside of giving up that 1 sack, I thought he held his own and did a terrific job. We'll talk a little bit later about the run game and whatnot, but he contributed to that. So even with having some replacements out there on the offensive line, Spencer Burford playing at the left guard, I still loved everything that we saw from Brock Purdy, and just maneuvering the pocket well, throwing dig routes, ripping passes up the seam. He threw a nice timing deep out to Ricky Pearsall, who, I mean, just
what a game by Ricky.
To Nashawn Wright out there, dropped him off, made him fall on the ground. And
I know exactly what route you're talking about.
Brock Purdy was on it all night, and you talked about not missing throws. Definitely weren't many throws missed, outside of maybe the opening game decision to throw that quick slant to Juwan Jennings on a versus a corner who was squatting. And I know a lot of my people, that's not Brock Purdy's fault. But yes, that is Brock Purdy's fault. He threw the ball. He threw a slant pass to a squatting defensive back. And what I mean squatting, so corners, you'll see guys kind of shuffle out. You see them kind of bail out, or you see them backpedal. Johnson didn't move. Like, he just kind of was standing there ready to trigger down on a slant. Like, he didn't budge. So once he broke, I mean, he essentially kind of beat Juwan Jennings to the punch, and there were a lot of people like, pass interference. I'm like, well, he wasn't interfering because, like, I'm trying to stop this guy from catching the ball. He was going for the ball. And when the refs see that sometimes, where yes, there is contact a little bit early, the defensive back has a right to the to the football as well. So I think we that's what we saw, and Brock Purdy still decided to throw that ball. But outside of that, man, he was awesome, and I'll continue to harp on this just being the best version of Brock Purdy that I've ever seen.
Yeah, and I mean, he is in such lockstep with Kyle Shanahan right now and how they're seeing the field. I mean, you brought up the dig routes there. They had that all game, man. Like, I felt like every time that they were on like in a third and medium or third and long, just hit that dig route. And I mean, if you didn't have that, you had McCaffrey underneath, and it was all day long. And whether it was Ricky Pearsall or Jake Tonjes or Juwan Jennings on that last drive of the game for the big touchdown, the big go-ahead score, was on that dig route. And what did you see that was in the Bears coverage that was allowing the 49ers to continuously hit the same play over them? I mean, I felt like they had 15 yards there anytime they wanted it on that dig route over the middle.
Yeah, a lot of times, and I'm trying to pull it up right now to kind of get a view of the actual touchdown, but a lot of times there's something that pulls the safeties out of there. Just now on that touchdown, it looked like the safeties were back just really far, and he was able to break that route off, and then he just caught it. I mean, part of being accurate, right? Everybody just thinks of just throwing the ball, open guys, whatnot, but hitting a guy in stride to where now it increases his run after catch ability. That's exactly what Brock Purdy did on that one. So the 49ers do like to run a dagger concept where you get one guy kind of pushing through, takes the safety out of there, then you get the dig underneath it. But that right there, it was just Juwan Jennings running a deep in route and being wide open. Brock hit him in stride. and Juwan Jennings did and not just Juwan Jennings. There were some other offensive players out there making some blocks downfield that helps bring that touchdown as well.
Yeah, and Jennings with, we know what an open field threat Juwan Jennings is. In college, that was like all over his game tape at Tennessee. He had these huge explosive run after the catch plays, even though he didn't maybe necessarily have that top end 40 time that you'd look for in a big play wide receiver. But nonetheless, he sees the field really well when he's got the ball in space. He's able to kind of, figure out which lanes can generate him a few extra yards. And in that instance, he used the blocker to screen not just one defender, but also kind of impede the path of the safety who took kind of a weird route to try and get to him. Juwan Jennings capitalizes with the go-ahead score, ends up being the game-winning touchdown in this one. And one other guy I want to highlight in the passing attack was Jake Tonjes, man, because you go into this game, again, missing George Kittle. This is the story of the 49ers season, man. One guy goes down, it's just next man up every single time. And we've seen this from Jake Tonjes prior in the season. He was pretty good when Kittle was out for the first several games that he missed earlier in the year, and he did more of the same tonight. I mean, Tonjes early and often too, I felt like they got him involved a lot early on in this game, and he was great for the 49ers. 7 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown in this one on 9 targets. And also, we can't forget, we brought him up a little bit earlier, but we got to give him some more love. Ricky Pearsall was, his routes were so clean tonight, man. You saw some concepts that where he was able to just kind of sit down in the soft spots of the Bears defense, and he was just constantly able to work his way open in one-on-one coverage as well. And you see those two things starting to come together, and it just looks like this offense can't be stopped. And so, Croc, my question to you, man, if this offense is just clicking it this way, and I know the defense has its issues, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the show, but do those issues really matter if the offense is performing at this level? Even with this cast of characters, like, I don't know that there's anything that can really slow them down right now. Not injuries. It just seems like this 49ers offense just keeps on rolling full steam ahead despite everything that's happened this year.
Well, when the offense is putting up 42 points, you'd like the 49ers to win by a larger margin and not making people's hair turn gray or people lose their hair like I have, right? Just playing in this intense football game, which I enjoy watching the intense football games more than the blowouts. But the defense is an issue. It definitely is something that the 49ers are going to try to figure out. Heading into the season, I expected the offense to have to pick up some slack for the defense. You have Nick Bosa and you have Fred Warner, but man, a lot of young, youthful guys or inexperienced guys out there on the secondary. So our offense is going to have to come through. Never in a million years I think you would lose Nick Bosa and Fred Warner early in the season, and then you lose Michael Williams, your first round pick, and it's like, all right. And he was a guy that's still learning and finding his way at the NFL level. And that was just kind of, I don't want to call them the replacements, but there's a lot of guys out there that they haven't gotten into like that mode where they're just, comfortable, veteran, savvy football players outside of maybe, Diamondor Lenore. But you got some young dudes out there, Upton Stout, and by no means has it been perfect, but made some plays on the ball, some really good coverage plays against DJ Moore. They went to DJ Moore a couple of times on third down, and Upton Stout just smothering guys in coverage and making plays. So terrific job by some of the young guys, but for the most part, 49ers defense is just lackluster. It's just not, it's not good. And when you play against a defense that can also get stops, right? Like next week, Seattle, that's a defense, they can get stops. You better be playing a lot better defense than what we've seen over the last couple games.
Yeah, and they definitely faded as this game went on, right? Like the first half, the defense actually came up with a few, especially early on, a few key third down stops that kind of allowed the 49ers offense to take control over that first half and hold the ball in that time of possession to just stretch pretty expansively over that first half. And it's really what kind of helped the 49ers get back into that game was the time of possession. Shanahan talked about that a little bit in his post game as well, but the 49ers, they got to figure out a way to put it together for more than just, brief moments here and there. Ultimately, the defense rose to the occasion when they needed to in the absolute last possible second that they could. And they got it done and didn't let the Bears score before time ran out. But I mean, a lot of question marks here, and you also get some new injuries. Upton Stout went into the tent in this one, and you saw Chase Lucas getting attacked after Upton Stout exited this game, and Chase Lucas had to take over those slot responsibilities a little bit. And you don't have Renardo Green, you don't have Upton Stout now at this point, and you're seeing Jair Brown get picked on a little bit. I mean, it did not look super great for the 49ers secondary out there. But I will say, man, Diamador Lenore making that tackle in space against, I think it was DeAndre Swift on that very second to last play of the game, where the Bears are, I mean, if Swift breaks that tackle, the Bears maybe get in on that play or are at the 1 yard line or 1 inch line. And so great play by Diamador Lenore to make that tackle in space when he absolutely needed to. And like you said, Lenore's been the most sure thing the 49ers have in the secondary there. So he's holding his own the best he can despite everything else going on in the secondary. Diamador Lenore holding it down, the hyena back there. But the 49ers, the big story today, Brock Purdy, his 5 touchdown game, second consecutive 5 touchdown game, man, and over 300 yards again, too. Threw that one pick on the very first play of the game that came back for 6. Like you said, we can put that one on him. I also think that was on Brock. Shanahan kind of tried to say in his post game that he didn't think that one was on Brock and that the Bears defender just made a hell of a play.
There's that part of it too, where the defender did make a great play. My reasoning for putting that on Brock, and again, outside of that, and like I said, and I continue to say, this is the best I've ever seen from Brock Purdy. But just talking about an area right there where you can't throw that versus that squatting defensive back. He threw it. The DB made a hell of a play because he was always going to be in position to make the play. So terrific job by them. They won on that play, but they didn't win many other times. And the 49ers offense led by Brock Purdy was just cooking them all night, not just through the air, on the ground as well.
Yeah, we got to get into that next. And the Bears are very good at taking the football away from the 49ers. So I think if you know that going into it, you have to kind of game plan around this defense is turnover hungry and they're going to be looking to jump routes and take the ball away. So that's kind of why I agree with you in the sense of you kind of know that these DBs are looking to jump those routes, especially early to make a big impact play. And lo and behold, that's what happened. Ended up not mattering because Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense got it done. And like you said, the run game, a huge part of that. So we got to break that down next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by PrizePicks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with PrizePicks, it always feels good to be right with high-pressure football matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night. The action never slows down, and PrizePicks lets you stay in control. PrizePicks is the daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting. Just pick more or less and play your way. And with PrizePicks, I mean, why wouldn't you ride the 49ers hot hand right now? I mean, I want you hitting every single more than on every single Brock Purdy projection, every single Christian McCaffrey projection. Jake Tonjes, throw Jake Tonjes in there. He's going to keep producing with George Kittle out. Ride the 49ers offense. That is my advice to you with PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Eric Crocker, one half of the Locked On 49ers podcast. And we're missing Dwayne Bowe today, out on assignment, our 4-time Super Bowl champion. I got to throw it in there even when he's not on the show, you know what I mean? But the 49ers defense looks like they could use a Dwayne Bowe on the line right now, the way they've been playing. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But right now we got to talk about the run game, man. The 49ers and Christian McCaffrey, over 200 rushing yards, or exactly 200 rushing yards for the 49ers as a team, 5.9 yards per rush as a team. Christian McCaffrey also had himself one hell of a day. He ended up with, 23 carries, 140 yards, 6.1 yards per carry, and of course a touchdown. His longest run of the season as well, that 41-yard scamper, his most explosive play of the season. And Crocky, CMC looked really, really good tonight. And all without Trent Williams and George Kittle to block. That big run came on the left side too, and that's normally where you would find George Kittle. So big props to Austin Pleasance, who played his behind off there at the left tackle position tonight, and CMC just doing his job, man, just racking up the yards. He had 120 rush yards in the first half alone. Crocky, what made CMC so explosive tonight?
Yeah, just blocking things up extremely well. Christian McCaffrey, obviously a veteran, really seeing the holes and running very well behind his pads, doing a terrific job. Peacock, when we just recorded, had asked me, man, one of the biggest differences, and I talked about, obviously Brock Purdy and just how well he's playing. But one of the biggest things going on right now is 49ers just ability to run the ball, especially over the last 2 weeks. Prior to these last two games, Christian McCaffrey was yards per carry wise was having his worst season ever, right? It was like 3.6 yards per carry. In the last two games, over 5 yards per carry a week ago against a very good front from the Colts as far as stopping the run, and then over 6 yards per carry in this game. So, ripping off his longest runs of the season of a 26-yarder or 40-something yarder. Christian McCaffrey seeing everything, running very well. Looked like he got a little tightness going on in his back or something's going on there. And I could see, I've been seeing it since last week. Like when he gets tackled and watching him get up, he's not like bouncing up. A lot of times you'll see guys get hit and they kind of like bounce up, they're ready to go. I don't know if you've watched how much Kansas City Chiefs you've watched, but Pacheco, like you see Pacheco, he's up before
the defender,
else, right? Christian McCaffrey is kind of laboring a little bit while getting up. So hopefully nothing is too serious there, but he's running extremely well. He's seeing things well. It's being blocked up very well. And the 49ers, man, benefiting big time. Also, one more thing real quick. I talked about Brock Purdy and how good he is when he has run or pass at his disposal. And I think, when you're running the ball the way 49ers have the last 2 weeks, I think that could be a big help and a big reason as to why we've seen 10 touchdowns from Brock Purdy over the last 2 weeks, man. That run game, man, it's really helping open things up for them passing wise.
Yeah, I mean, Christian McCaffrey also said that much on the post game on the field after this one went final. He said it's easier to run the ball when Brock's doing what he's doing, man. And there's so much focus on the pass game in these big chunk plays that are happening that it opens up some rushing lanes for him. And that's exactly what you saw today. But man, really impressed with this offensive line. This was a unit that we, at the beginning of this year, we were like, I don't know how the hell this unit's going to get through the season. It was a piecemeal together unit for the first few weeks. I mean, you entered the season not healthy at that position group either, which is, again, the story of this entire team so far this year. But they battled. Next man up. And again, today, no different. You have Austin Pleasance filling in for Trent Williams after he goes down with the hamstring, and he did not return. I also felt like he didn't like Pleasance played so well at the left tackle position. You didn't really need to bring Trent Williams back and try to rush him back into this game, which I think is going to bode very well for the 49ers going forward, because you get to give him a little bit more time to get healthy, heal up. You don't want him to push that hammy to the point where he's now injured going into the postseason. So hopefully it's something that he can get healthy, before Saturday against the Seahawks. And man, bummer that they made that 49ers Seahawks game on Saturday at 5 p.m. on ESPN ABC. I was really thinking they would slide that into the Sunday night football slot, but instead they got Ravens Steelers. So questionable decision making by the NFL there. I think the people want 49ers Seahawks in the primetime slot. That's just me though. Maybe I'm biased, but man, you have the 49ers run game just clicking right now, and Dom Pooney looks really good up front, and so does the whole left side of that line. And one guy that I just cannot get a read on, man, this whole year has been Spencer Burford, because every time I'm ready to just we need to just jettison this guy somewhere else, like send him to the Raiders or something, because that's where he seems to fit in with his blocking ability in some of these games. And then he turns around and looks great in a game like tonight, especially in the run game, man. I felt like that left side was just moving bodies all day long. And I mean, the offensive line, has it impressed you to the same degree? Because man, I feel like this is, aside from the linebacker group with missing Fred Warner and how Tatum Bethune has stepped up, and maybe the wide receiver group and how they've stepped up without Brandon Ayuk. I think that offensive line stepping up in the next man type of thinking has been just phenomenal this year.
Yeah, man, Spencer Burford, a lot of people talked about, and a lot of people, the broadcast, they talked about 49ers receivers blocking down the field on Christian McCaffrey's big run. But a person that they did not mention was Big 74 running, 30, 40 yards down the field, still blocking guys. And when you see big runs working like that, it's just a big collective group effort. It's typically not just the running back. It's everybody else doing their part as well. And Spencer Burford definitely doing that on a lot of runs. He's a guy that people just did not really want to see in the game. And you talked about it, Eric, just feeling like you just want or need a little bit more out of him. And I'd say right now, maybe it's just him being in the NFL longer, understanding exactly what the 49ers are going to be asking of him, but he has been playing very well in spot duty.
And again, this line just kind of being thrown together. I mean, you've had so many different combinations for this front five. The pass pro for Brock Purdy has not been great at times, and I do see the our guy David in the chat saying that Pleasance will need consistent chip help in pass protection, and yeah, he probably will. I mean, he definitely needed that help today, and you saw like pretty much the one play that they didn't give him that help was that one play that Brock got sacked on, and he got beat pretty solidly by that Bears defensive end, man. Austin Booker, 94. He was having a hell of a day. He also swatted a couple of Brock Purdy's passes. He was pretty impactful for the Bears, especially early on in this one. But as the game went on, it felt like they figured out a way to neutralize him, and that involved a lot of chips. And 49ers do that pretty much every game. Even with Trent Williams in there, you'll still have George Kittle chip in a lot. So you got to continue to do that, give them a little bit of help. But I think the 49ers right now, with the way that this team is playing, I don't see anything that can really slow this team down, man. I know that the Seahawks have a very talented defense, and that's going to be obviously the game for all the marbles, basically. Either way, the 49ers going to the postseason, but it would be really nice to clinch that number one overall seed, that first round bye, and it just home field advantage throughout the playoffs and literally throughout the entire playoffs, because you would play in the Super Bowl if they make it there at home at Levi's. So it's wild that the 49ers are even in this position. I mean, it blows my mind that Shanahan and Saleh have been able to get this group to where they are, and that everybody has had this next man up mentality, and it's worked all season long. And I feel a little bit like a broken record because I say this on every damn show, but man, it is, in my opinion, probably the most impressive story in all of the NFL right now is the way that the 49ers have continuously rallied to overcome these injuries. And you look around at the NFL, no team is perfect. Every team is flawed. The 49ers, I think, they're scoring 42 points a game, they got just as good of a shot to win this whole thing as anybody else in the entire NFL does. So right now, the 49ers looking like real legitimate contenders, in my opinion. The defense, though, a little suspect. And we got to talk about that next, because they're going to have to shore that thing up if they want to go all the way and win the championship. So who better to break down this defense and some of the miscues in the secondary than Eric Crocker? We'll get into it next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Today's show is brought to you by Gusto, and let's be real, no one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. I mean, those just sound like the most fun things in the world, right? But that's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is the all-in-one, remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees, and gives you unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. You gotta love that. Nothing worse than surprise charges. And Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposits can save you hours every single week. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/lockedonnfl and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/lockedonnfl. One more time, that's gusto.com/lockedonnfl. Locked On NFL. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Eric Crocker, one half of the Locked On 49ers podcast, Dwayne Bowe on assignment. And Crocky, man, 49ers defense tonight, they did step. We got to lead off by saying they stepped up when it mattered most. They did not let the Bears in the end zone on that last final drive. Diamador Lenore's that touchdown saving tackle. In sending Caleb Williams running for his life on that final play of the game, getting home to him and getting that hit on the quarterback, not letting him get that ball in there, step into that pass and all that. However, the fact that they were even in that position when the 49ers scored 42 points, pretty suspect, man. The 49ers defense had multiple opportunities to end this one and could not do it much earlier than the final play of the game. So, Crocky, 49ers defense, looking, as holy as Swiss cheese right now, man. How do they plug up some of these holes?
49ers defense is atrocious right now, and I don't know if there's any fixing it right now. Maybe hopefully our guy Fred Warner comes back for the postseason and to have that leader that they need out there. It's a big hit when you're missing somebody like him, right? The quarterback of the defense, the guy that's calling things out. He's seen everything, right? He's played at such a high level throughout his career, and just to kind of strip the 49ers of having their not just vocal leader, but emotional leader as well. I think we're feeling the effects of that right now. Moving forward, though, I mean, if there is no Fred Warner, like what can they do? And I think, one thing coaches like to harp on a lot of times is not making the same mistake twice. So, guys are watching the film, breaking it down. Where can I improve? What do I need to be doing? I think it would help a lot if the 49ers had a better pass rush. They're lacking there as well. And obviously, not having Nick Bosa, that hurts you. Not having Michael Williams, even though he's not a great pass rusher right now, but just a guy who's figuring things out and getting stronger, not having him, that hurts you. So 49ers are hurting physically and figuratively out there on the defense. And I don't know if there's anything coming to save him right now. Hopefully Robert Saleh can just design some things. He had some nice stunts and blitzes that he sent later in the game, but clearly it didn't affect the Bears enough because Caleb Williams still, for the most part, had his way with the defense.
Yeah, and I feel like this is where Dwayne Bowe would normally say, you got to run more games up front, man. And so we got to throw that in there. But they were doing a little bit of that today, but only 3 quarterback hits, no sacks in this one. Like you're saying, the pressure is definitely leaving something to be desired. Caleb Williams is a guy who's going to scramble around a lot back there and make life hard on pass rushers as well. Breaks contain a lot back there. But it's definitely something that's been a thorn in the 49ers side all season long, man. And I think that if they can get Renardo Green, that would absolutely help the secondary out a lot. And but the pass rush, I don't know that this is going to get any better, man. This has been the one thing that the 49ers have not been able to figure out all season long. I mean, even, the linebacker play has not been as good without Fred Warner, but Tatum Bethune, D. Winters have stepped up in some moments. I feel like that D-line just hasn't had that moment yet where you're like, okay, CJ West and Alfred Collins, they're coming into their own, which they are to their credit. They're both playing pretty well, but there hasn't been like that the one guy to step up and say, I'm going to be the pass rusher to replace or at least fill in for Nick Bosa not being here. And that's not the game of either of those two big defensive tackles that are stuffing up the middle of that line. They're not, the big edge or the quick edge rushers. They're the big, people eaters in the middle of that defense. But you just don't have that. You have maybe like one guy out there who can really get things going. Bryce Huff, number 47, is probably their best pass rusher right now, but it's hit and miss, man, when he can get going. And it's going to have to come from creativity, I think, with Saleh and blitzes and running games up front. And it's going to have to come down to that. But ultimately, you mentioned one thing there, which I kind of want to get into. Fred Warner, man. We talked about this a couple weeks ago where, what's the probability that Fred comes back if the 49ers get to the postseason? Well, the way that this team is playing right now, if the 49ers can go win against Seattle next week and lock up that number 1 overall seed, and they get that first round bye, I think we might see Fred Warner playing in the 49ers first playoff game if they do get that first round bye, because I mean, Fred's looking kind of healthy, man. I've been keeping tabs on his Instagram, watching his rehab videos, watching him in the weight room. You know what I mean? He looks more nimble than I do right now, I'll tell you what. But
did you see him on the field after the game when the 49ers got to stop, and there's that aerial kind of camera angle by a fan, and you see him jumping around and he's excited. So he's moving. I'd say when you have an injury like that, though, probably the biggest thing is getting over that mental hurdle.
Yeah.
Of it. Looking down, seeing your ankle snapped, and then now going out there, being able to play with bodies flying around and not think about the injury that you had.
Yeah, it's a very, very, very tough thing to do. I mean, I know just from my, very, very unprofessional sports career that I have those same fears too when I'm out there doing whatever the hell I'm doing at the rec center. But I do think if there's one player in the entire NFL that can get over that mental hurdle, it is Fred Warner. I mean, this is the guy who, I don't know if there's a more mentally prepared guy on the 49ers defense or in the entire NFL when it comes to just like mental toughness and mental readiness. And Fred Warner is the type of, he played all of last season on a broken ankle. If there's one guy who I think can get over that mental hurdle, it would be Fred Warner. If you're looking for a guy to get over it quickly. And I'm going to put anything past him, man. He heals like Wolverine, and the guy's determination is second to none. And I think he absolutely will be trying his best to convince Shanahan and company to let him into this game as soon as possible, because the 49ers need him in a big way. Tatum Bethune had some nice plays today. He had a nice pass breakup in this one, as well as a huge hit on the sideline, man. Some of Tatum Bethune's hits just look like, send the guy to the hospital immediately afterwards type of hits, because they're just massive. But and that's great to see, but no one's going to replace Fred Warner on this defense. And I think if he can come back for this 49ers team in the playoffs, like you said, having that voice in the huddle makes a huge difference, because it just the level of confidence and readiness that I think Fred Warner can instill in the entire unit is something that they're really lacking right now. Wearing that green dot comes with a lot of responsibility, and Tatum Bethune is filled in admirably, but he's not Fred Warner. He's not the best middle linebacker in the entire game. And so if you get that, obviously this defense gets a hell of a lot better. But I feel like it's more than that. I feel like the secondary has had a lot of issues, and I know guys are hurt, but is there anything that the 49ers, especially the safeties, man? I feel like the safety play Mustafa has been decent, but Jair Brown specifically has been picked on a lot in the pass game, taking some bad routes to things. What can the 49ers do to shore up the back end of this defense?
Opposing teams are doing an amazing job watching the film, understanding 49ers defensive backs rules, assignments, and maybe who's a guy that maybe isn't as disciplined on the back end. And you're seeing some touchdowns being caught over the top. You're seeing some being because of the safeties. You're seeing bad angles against the run and Swift slicing through the 49ers defense. And it's like, well, where's the safeties at? The big touchdown on the broken play, a linebacker's trying to stick with tight end all the way downfield. And I feel like it's everyone. Like everyone has a hand in it, including the safeties, who I don't think are playing as well. I actually would like to see, and it's not that Brown is playing. Like Brown did not play very well this game from the naked eye, but he's had some games where he's playing better.
Oh, definitely.
Are the 49ers able to sprinkle Siegel in there, Marquise Siegel, and not in a role where he's just the every down guy? But if you guys can kind of remember back to when Talanoa Hufanga was a rookie, and the 49ers had Jaquiski Tartt, and they would sprinkle Talanoa Hufanga in, like he didn't have to be the de facto starter, but they would get him in there and get him reps and get him a series. And I wonder if the 49ers can do something like that with Siegel.
Yeah, I think that would help a lot for his development. And I think you probably want to get him some playing time in these, like sort of pre-playoff games because I feel like some of these guys, you're going to absolutely need them in the postseason if you're going to keep going all the way to February, because that's the clear, in my opinion, the clear hole in this 49ers defense, or at least the biggest one, is this pass defense, because they're unable to get home to the quarterback. You don't have much of a pass rush, which leaves these guys on an island. And some of these defenders in the secondary, not the best in coverage. And in the safety spot has been vulnerable. Chase Lucas was not very good in the slot tonight. We've seen him have some, we saw him have a big moment earlier in the season, but he did not have that same rising to the occasion in this one. There's some things that they got to shore up, man. And I think that if you're going to, looking at the safety spot, that's the number one place where I think you can maybe use some of these guys who aren't playing every single down to kind of mix them in, give them a different look. And Siegel's a guy who earlier in the season played in that kind of role. We saw him, coming in sparingly and switching in and out, especially with all the injuries they had in the secondary earlier this year. And I think that you kind of need to get him back in the mix and get him right and see if he's going to be able to give you something in the postseason. So the 49ers, I think, have a lot to work on in that secondary. But conversely, other side of the coin, you also have a lot of these young players who are starting to flash a little bit more. I think Alfred Collins and CJ West have both been playing pretty good. Using their size to kind of stuff up the middle and plug some of that A and B gap runs. I felt like the Bears, other than that one touchdown run that Swift had, they did a decent job kind of bottling up this Bears run game for the most part. And they're two-headed monster with Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift. What are you thinking about these young guys up front? Are you seeing some things that they're doing better now than they were doing earlier in the season? And what more can we expect from them as we get into the playoffs? Are there even more steps that they can take this year? Or can they get even better going into the postseason?
Yeah, these guys were drafted to make an immediate impact against the run right away. And I'd say throughout this season, I feel like they're getting progressively better at that, stuffing the holes. Now, obviously, you couldn't tell on that run up the middle by Swift, but for the most part, teams that run well against the 49ers, it's typically been on the outside as opposed to running up the middle. So Alfred Collins being in there, big, bull rushing guys, pushing guys back, getting his paw up there, knocking passes away. That's been awesome to see. West, he's been very active as well, pushing linemen back or being stout and anchoring down, holding his ground. So it's been awesome to see the two guys and kind of their development. Obviously, you would like to see them develop more as a pass rusher because the 49ers need it so much right now, but that's not what they were coming out of college. So, you'd expect for that to improve, but I think that's a year-to-year thing as opposed to a week-to-week thing with them as rookies.
Absolutely. And the one thing I think, if you're looking for pass rush help, Keion White, man, the 49ers went out and grabbed him mid-season, hoping he could make an impact. He really hasn't done a whole heck of a lot here in San Francisco. And also other guys like Sam Okawanu, the 49ers had some hopes for this guy. Obviously, there's a lot more put at these guys' feet, and the expectations rise with Nick Bosa being out and Bryce Huff as well. Some of these guys, you're just hoping that they figure something out, and maybe just more time, more practice with each other. Dwayne Bowe always talks about familiarity when defenders want to run stunts and run games up in the middle, and that's something they're going to have to figure out. And we actually got Dwayne joining us right now. So we're bringing Dwayne forward. We got him back on the show. So Dwayne, we're just talking about it, man. The 49ers D-line running some stunts today, but still not enough, and just that lack of pass rush. What can the 49ers do going forward to maybe find some semblance of a pass rush in the postseason?
They got to go out and find a pass rusher because, man, it was sad. They couldn't rush the passer for nothing. I watched the game and it was like, are you kidding me? He had all day to pass. And the thing about it was whenever he held the ball, it was critical. So they're really hurting. So if the 49ers plan on continuing down the road, hopefully getting to the Super Bowl, they got to find a pass rush someplace. But they don't have it right now. They went with 5-man pressures. They got beat on the 5-man pressures. It was hard. I can see if it's one thing to look at it as, well, it's coverage. It's not coverage. You got to get pressure on the quarterback. Croc, you know that, man. The 49ers don't have nobody that can rush a passer, and that's going to hurt them in the playoffs right now. And when you run into that, you gotta get more creative than what they are now, especially up front. They got to learn how to. Well, I always call it cheat. You can run stunts, and you can cheat on it. And the best way to do it is to work it in practice. And I don't think they run. I don't think they work enough in practice on running stunts and working off each other. And that's how it is. It's just like, you got a guard in basketball. Okay, he's the guy that controls everything. You got to have one guy who's smart enough to control the pass rush stunts that the four guys run, and they don't have no one out there who can do that, who can set it up and run them correctly, and knowing where it's always a weak guy. You got to know where the weak guy is on the offensive line. That's the guy you want to run the stunts against. When you run a four-man, when you run the four-man line and rushing four guys, you got to have a weak guy. It's a weak guy along the offensive line that you have to work. And you don't see that with the 49ers. There's nobody out there that does it. I mean, it's sad.
And at this point, you're just hoping they figure it out, because there's no one else that they can go scoop up off the scrap heap at this point in the season and plug them into the unit and hope that they make a big impact. It's just far too late in the year to do something like that. But it kind of makes you wish. I mean, hindsight's 2020, obviously. I think if the 49ers knew that they'd be, playing in the final week of the regular season for the number 1 overall seed, maybe John Lynch in the front office pull the trigger to go trade for a big pass rusher at the trade deadline. And I'm sure that 49ers fans everywhere right now are kind of lamenting the fact that the 49ers didn't do that at the deadline. But ultimately, you still end up here with a position to, or with a chance to end up in that number 1 overall seed in the NFC, securing home field through the entire postseason. So 49ers have a chance to do it. Can they get it done against the Seahawks next weekend on Saturday? We got to talk about that and a little bit more from this game now that we got Dwayne Bowe back with us. We'll get into all that next here on the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. Welcome back to the Locked On 49ers Squad Show. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, joined by Eric Crocker, one half of the Locked On 49ers podcast, and Dwayne Bowe, 4-time Super Bowl champion. And guys, I mean, great offensive performance by the 49ers again today. But as we just finished wrapping up, the defense, pretty suspect, a lot of issues going forward, and not a lot of answers on the defensive side to fix some of these problems. So obviously you got the Seahawks coming to town next weekend for all the marbles on Saturday, 5:00 kick, West Coast time for the 49ers. And can they do it? I mean, can they do what? I mean, can they complete the very improbable, damn near impossible run to the postseason for this team with this many injuries? I mean, you miss your starting quarterback for almost half the season. George Kittle's missed 6-7 games. Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, and on and on and on. The whole Brandon Ayuk drama, all that BS that's going on with the 49ers and not having your best players available. Still, you're here at the end of the road, and with a shot to position yourself to win a Super Bowl at Levi's Stadium. And Dwayne, Seahawks pose a good test. I mean, that defense in Seattle is no joke. They are flying around. A lot of guys there have made big strides this year. That offense a little suspect in recent weeks, but still got some big play guys. Jackson Smith and Jigba has been the best wide receiver in the NFL this season. So, Dwayne, do the 49ers have what it takes to beat the Seahawks next week, given that this defense looks suspect, but the offense, I mean, 10 touchdowns in the last 2 weeks for Brock Purdy. He's on fire.
Well, you got to look at it like this. Right now, the 49ers are looking at pride. Okay, when they play the Seattle Seahawks, they're looking at pride in the division. So when you get pride in the division, who has the most will to win? And you look at it, the Seahawks, they went to Carolina and beat the Carolina Panthers, but it was a close game in the first half, but then the Seahawks came up with something the 49ers haven't been coming up on defense with, is what? Turnovers, okay? The 49ers got to learn to produce some turnovers along with getting a pass rush. And to create turnovers, you have to have players that's thinking the game rather than playing the game. What I mean is like, hey, when I'm going to make the tackle, I'm going to make the tackle and I'm going to cause a turnover. And you haven't seen that out of 49 defense. And that's because they're young. Okay, there's a bunch of young guys out there playing, and a bunch of guys that came along out of nowhere. They just went out and said, hey, so we got this guy out here on waivers, let's bring him in. And it's bad because it's such a limited pool of players left out there, for the 49ers to bring in when they had guys hurt. And I think if I was the guy running the defense, hey, I would know what players to put in what position. Okay. And Solly knows that. But right now, you don't see it being coming out in the final what you're looking for. And up front, if your front seven if you can't get it out of your front seven, how are you going to get it? They tried to bring a corner blitzes, but when they bought somebody, when the quarterback moved out the pocket, it made it hard. They completed the passes, and I always looked at quarterbacks have places they like to escape, where they like to come out of that. Okay, if I go out and do my scouting report the way I'm supposed to do it, I should know where the quarterback likes to come out at. I'm going to do what? That's why I'm gonna work most of my pressures at, because then I know if I get the quarterback moving away from the positions that he doesn't like, I know I got a better chance. And when you got a right hand quarterback, guess what he likes to do the most? Come out to the right. So you gotta figure out a way to stop that. You gotta figure out a way to bring the pressure to where he likes to roll out, to make him uncomfortable, and that's what they didn't do today. And then the Bears they've been the cardiac Bears the last 5-6 games, and the 49ers didn't have that Band-Aid to put on that cardiac Bears tonight, but it came out in the end. Where it came down to the last throw in the last second, and he didn't make the play. But if he would have pulled that ball down, guess what? He would have walked into the end zone. It would have been like, oh God, okay, so the 49ers in the playoffs, but they don't have a chance to wrap up home field advantage.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams definitely extended plays a lot with his legs tonight, and the 49ers historically and this season have struggled with containing some of those mobile quarterbacks. And Sam Darnold, I'm not going to say he's mobile, but he's also not a statue back there. He can make some things happen with his legs when he needs to. And in that Seattle Seahawks offense, even though it has kind of sputtered these last couple weeks, still lead the NFL in points. They still have scored more points than anybody else in the NFL this season. So, Crocky, what do you think would be the key for the 49ers to be able to win next week against the Seattle Seahawks at Levi's?
Man, 2 weeks in a row, the 49ers have run the ball extremely well. I think they have to continue to run the ball very well. Having the run and pass at their disposal on any given play, I think helps Brock tremendously, and it helps the running back tremendously as well. So run the ball, make the Seahawks have to respect that. The linebackers start taking a step up, playing a little tighter, and then you start hitting them with those crossers behind it. So I think first and foremost, 49ers just got to continue to run the ball the way they have the last 2 weeks.
And I think if Purdy and the offense keep clicking, man, that's going to open up a lot of space for Christian McCaffrey to run the ball. When you got those linebackers and those safeties worried about trying to cover some of these tight ends and running backs out of the backfield. I mean, Jake Tonjes has proven to be somebody that you can't just say George Kittle's not in the game, I'm not going to game plan for the tight end of the 49ers. You still got to figure out how you're going to stop Jake Tonjes if you're an opponent right now, because this guy's filling in great. I mean, he's got 6 touchdowns on the year now after hauling another one in today. So, I mean, the 49ers have made whatever weapon that they have work. I mean, whoever's out there, they're making them an effective playmaker. And I think that's all because of Kyle Shanahan and Brock Purdy and the symbiosis, and throw Christian McCaffrey in there too. The way that all the motion that they use, the way that they can isolate Christian McCaffrey into the exact one-on-one matchup that they're looking for, they can get him into a really preferred. You saw them do it today on the. I think they got him on a slant route over the middle on like a 3rd and 6, and they got him lined up against Tremaine Edmonds, which he's a very good pass coverage linebacker. Guy runs like a 4.5. Christian McCaffrey cooked him in pass coverage. Doesn't matter. Good luck trying to cover Christian McCaffrey with any linebacker. I don't care what your 40 time is. You're not going to be able to stop Christian McCaffrey with the linebacker when he's running routes the way he does. So with all of those things going the way they are right now, I truly don't really care who the defense is that the 49ers are going up against, who the options that Brock Purdy has to throw the football to. As long as you got Kyle Shanahan calling plays, Brock Purdy at the quarterback position healthy, and Christian McCaffrey in the backfield also healthy, or at least mostly healthy, 49ers are winning, man. Like this offense, the way it's going, I don't think anybody is slowing them down right now. Not the Seattle Seahawks, not the Chicago Bears, not even the 85 Chicago Bears, man. I think that this offense right now is just firing on all cylinders, and good luck stopping them to the rest of the NFL, because I've never seen Brock Purdy play at a level this high, and I don't expect this to slow down at all, man.
Well, you know one thing, you go back and look, Brock Purdy got off on some luck today because he threw some picks and a couple of them was called back. But you look at it, you're like, man, I thought he threw more balls. I thought he threw more picks than that, but he only had 1 interception, and that was that could have been a game breaker in the end, but it came early, so it wasn't. So they escaped. I thought he was throwing too. I thought he was a Chicago Bear fan for a minute there, because he back in Jersey a lot. What he threw 2 and they got called back?
Yeah, he threw the one that was a pick 6, and then he threw the other one in the end zone that definitely would have took points off the board, but they called legal hands to the face at the line of scrimmage by Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah, so they did get definitely, it wasn't even a borderline penalty in that situation. But yeah, I don't think Brock was aware that there was a penalty that was going to wipe that throw off the board. It wasn't like he was taking a free shot on an offsides play or something like that. So I do get your point, Dwayne, but the timing aspect, that's mainly what I'm looking at. And Croc and I talked about that a little bit earlier on in the show, is the timing that Brock seems to have with his wide receivers right now, just everybody on the offense, and how he's able to get them the ball in stride and allow them to turn that into some yards after the catch. And that's something that this team has been missing all year long, but you saw it in big moments today, especially at the very end. And late in the fourth quarter, you get Juwan Jennings over the middle, and he makes it happen after the catch too, to get in for that final go-ahead touchdown for the 49ers. So personally, I really like the 49ers' chances against the Seahawks next week. We'll see how it all shakes out. But Dwayne, we let off the show by talking about how just unreal Brock Purdy's play has been lately, and with 5 more touchdowns today, especially the off-schedule plays. And I kind of want to get your take on that touchdown pass that he threw to Kyle Juszczyk, where he made those 2 defenders kind of miss when it seemed like they had him dead to rights along that far sideline, and just couldn't get him on the ground. And Brock put him in the spin cycle. It looks like something that I would do when playing, Madden or something like that, like just running all around with the quarterback, making defenders miss, and then just dinks it over the top to Juice for the touchdown on that one. Have you seen this level of creativity from the 49ers quarterback position before? And if you have, who was it that you saw doing this? Like, do you watch him, and does it remind you of anybody?
But you're gonna make me say Joe Montana, okay? Brock Purdy's not Joe Montana, okay? He's Brock Purdy, and he has the ability. The thing about it is, and Clark can tell you, when you got a mobile quarterback and they can get the ball into a tight spot, then that's a good quarterback. That's a great quarterback. But when you got a quarterback that runs around and runs around, throws the ball to the other guy, that's not a quarterback. But he has that knack to get the ball in the right spot from being out of position, and it's a good thing to have. And I was like, wow. It was one of those wow moments that, it's like, hey, that's not bad right there. But but he's good, but he's not number 16.
I don't think anybody is, to be fair. I don't think anybody is holding the candle to Joe Montana in his career, except for maybe Tom Brady, number 12. But Dwayne, one more thing I want to ask you before we get on out of here and wrap up today's show. The final drive for the Bears and the 49ers defense, giving up all those, I felt like they had the Bears in like two different fourth down situations on that drive, at least one that the Bears were able to convert. And ultimately, you get Deommodore Lenoir tackling DeAndre Swift just before he gets into the end zone and makes them have one more play from the 2.5-yard line, and they can't get it done. So good job on the defense for, not breaking, but they can't bend anymore without breaking, man. How concerned are you about this 49ers defense and what you've been seeing from them these last couple weeks?
Well, so you go back and you look at the season, they've had a few bend but don't break moments. And that's the thing about the defense, man. Those guys are playing with a lot of heart. They play with more heart than talent because they come up with plays at the end to save themselves as a unit. And that's one thing that you like about them. Okay. They might not be a dominating team, but they make the play when it's time. And to get a team down at the 2-yard line, and I forget how many seconds is left in the game. I don't think I would have threw the ball. I was just handing it off at that time. I would have went spread formation and dropped and hand the ball off. But Chicago didn't do that, and it cost them, I think. But he had a chance to. Williams had a chance to wrap the game up earlier, and he had a receiver wide open down the seam, but he didn't take the throw. And I think going back to some of the games we played over the years, man, if you have guys in the right position, and that's what happened on the last play of the game. Solly put guys in the right position because he knew what he was going with. He knew what the offensive coordinator was calling, and he took that away from him, and he ran around and threw the ball away and incomplete. And that's great, too. It's just having a feel for what's going on at the right time.
It looked like the Bears were kind of, I don't know, it kind of seemed like Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams seemed like they thought the 49ers might have been thinking about calling a timeout on that last play. Like, I kind of think the Bears thought the 49ers were going to call timeout because they kind of came up to the line a little bit late. The play call took a little bit to get in. Credit the faithful tonight. They were loud. I could hear it through the TV. That place Levi's was rocking out there. But the urgency didn't seem to be there with the Bears. They seemed a little out of sorts before they got that playoff. And I think Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, if they didn't see that, maybe they do call a timeout in that situation just to, make sure you have the perfect defense out there for what you see the Bears throwing out there for their last play that they're going to run. But I think Shanahan saw the Bears kind of scrambling a little bit and said, I'm not going to use this right here. You guys go figure it out. You look a little disjointed. See if you can make it work. And the Bears did not make it work, obviously, on that last play of the game. So the 49ers have enough in the tank to outlast the Bears and get the win. Send all the 49ers faithful home with the best present that we got this week. Doesn't matter what holiday you're celebrating. We can all agree that the best gift of this whole week was a 49ers win. And what a win, man. It puts the Niners in position to have a chance at the number 1 overall seed if they can beat their rival Seahawks on the last game of the season. And guys, we've said all season long, it's probably going to come down to this last game. And lo and behold, couldn't go any other way. It's going to all come down for all the marbles on Saturday, 5 o'clock kick for the 49ers and Seahawks at Levi Stadium. So make sure that you're tuned in for that. Make sure that you're subbed up on YouTube, on wherever you're getting the show on the podcast version. And if you tune in on the YouTube, you get to see me wearing my great 49ers onesie that I got for Christmas. I felt like I had to throw it on with the win, man. It just felt right. You know what I mean?
You got to wear the throwback jacket with it, that old gold jacket.
Yeah, I'll have to throw the throwback jacket on. I thought I had it over there. I would have thrown it on right now, but it's hiding somewhere. I'll find that for the next show. But yeah, man, I mean, it all comes down for all the marbles against the Seahawks next weekend. We'll be coming to you live afterwards, as we always do, but that's about all the time that we got for you guys today here on the Locked On 49er Squad show. Great game today. Just, I mean, maybe the game of the year. Super highly entertaining game. I mean, the Bears, after last week, their game against the Packers, and then this week against the 49ers. I mean, Bears fans, if you know a Bears fan, go check on them. Shout out Raph Corral, my old coworker from my old employer at KMBR, and you big Bears fan. But I mean, they're heart attack central over there in Chicago right now, man. Everything coming down to the wire. So 49ers get the big win. They are able to outlast on that final drive, 42-38 against the Bears. Brock Purdy and company rolling. The defense, some struggles, but ultimately got it done when you needed them to the most. And the 49ers have a shot at the number 1 overall seed going into the final week of the regular season, just like we drew it up, right? Without George Kittle, without Trent Williams, without Brock Purdy for half the season, without Nick Bosa, without Fred Warner. 49ers right there at the end of the season, first place in the NFC on the table still for the 49ers. That's all the time we got for you guys today. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Locked On 49er Squad show. For Dwayne Bowe, for Eric Crocker, I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll see you next time. Peace.